Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure being here. My name is Saad. I'm a learning experience designer by trade, and I am a little obsessed with using purposeful play to make learning feel more human and actually stick. And I think what Tom and Mike were talking about earlier is perfect segue to what I want to talk about. And I think having someone like Mike talk about his academic background on the topic that he discussed, I think it gives more credibility to what I'm going to talk about now. So thank you so much, Tom and Mike, for actually setting the scene and making it so easier for me. What I want to do in this next 5 minutes is I want to talk about this. I want to do a tiny experiment with you guys in learning so that I can talk about how is it we can make learning more human and make it stick. For that, I would want all of you to be involved in this. So first of all, I want you to look around and I want you to grab an object that represents something that you've recently learned or are in the process of learning. So I want you to grab that object. I don't want you to overthink. I just want you to pick the first thing that catches your eye or feels fun. It could be a mug, a pen, a notebook, your headphone, anything. Perfect. I see that most of you are holding something, which I think is great. People who are not on cameras, if you can still hold something, you'll know that you're holding something, and that will be fine. Now, that's right here, the small disruption that you just felt, having to stop, look around, choose, that's novelty. Where novelty is a pattern break that makes your brain go, wait, what are we doing here? Just like Tom was talking about that, he's going to surprise the people by asking them to learn it, by asking them to do something which they were not expecting. That little surprise is how you get attention without more slides or more text. Now, what I want to do is I want to take a screenshot of all of you holding your object because I want to do something more with the object. So let me just go ahead and quickly take a screenshot if you guys are okay with it. I want to make sure that my slide is not there, but I can see a screenshot. Perfect. Very good. Let me just take a quick screenshot. Amazing. I see that there is a TV remote control as well, which I think is wonderful. Um, Perfect. Now let's just go back to now what I want you guys to do is I want you to think of your Zoom screens as a canvas, and I want you to place your objects somewhere in your frame to show where you are on that learning journey. If it is, if you're deep in it, it should be closer to your face, off to the side. It could be hidden in your hands, or it could be balanced somewhere. I want you to use the screen as a canvas to tell me where you are in this learning journey. Think about it for a second and then place it, and then I'll take another picture. I hope you guys are okay with that. Okay, very good. I see most of them. Okay, very good. Somewhere. Oh, I see there's a heart in there as well. Is that a giant cookie heart? No, okay, perfect. Yes. Let me just take a quick picture. Thank you so much for that. Now, this right here was embodiment, where you are using your hands and your body and you're moving around so that you know that this is what. So, what embodiment does is you just don't think with your brains. When your hands are doing something meaningful, it's harder for your minds to drift, which means you're completely invested and immersed in the process itself. You're not just listening to someone talk about this, you and yourself are invested and involved in this experience and the process. And that is what I believe pulls people out of Zoom autopilot if you're doing this in a virtual setting. Now, what I also want you guys to do is now that you have this object and you've placed it on the screen and you know where you are on this journey, I want you to think about a story that you can share using this object. I want you to think of a one liner that talks about my object stands for whatever it is, because whatever it is, whatever the reason is. And I want you to write that down in the chat piece if you can. And if someone wants to come off mute and share it, that would be great. So if you think of that object that you picked, the object that you placed on your Zoom screen as a canvas and spoke about a journey, I want you now think of a one line story that would help you identify or say that, you know what, this is what it means for me. And while you're sharing that story, what happens is that you're giving that story or giving that experience a meaning. Our brains don't remember bullet points, just like Mike mentioned, the 300 bullet points is a lot of bullet points. They remember stories and metaphors. And when you share yours, everyone else can find relevance in it when you're in a room full of people and you're sharing your story, because somewhere, all our stories are intertwined. And we've all had a similar experience one way or the other. So that is narrative, where you use novelty to grab attention, you use embodiment to immerse everyone in that process or in that experience, and you then use a narrative or a story to make sure that it lands and people find relevance. So what we just did with this model is we used novelty to open the door. We used embodiment, which brings people inside and fully immerses them in the process, and narrative makes it real and memorable for everyone. If you're designing learning experiences, a workshop, onboarding, or even a team meeting, you can ask yourself these three simple questions that I ask myself all the time: is where is the surprise? How will I get people physically or actively involved in this process or in this experience? And where is the story and metaphor that ties it together? I usually use Legos for this, and it is so much fun using Legos because Legos in itself have their own story, and everybody can come up with their own story, and they're fun to play with as well. But because this was a virtual experience, so I couldn't bring in Legos. But if you guys have Legos with you, definitely go back and do this. Ask yourself these three questions when you're designing a learning experience and see how it goes. I've done this with I've done this with almost all my clients in the recent past, and I've seen that yes, it really works and it doesn't really matter what props you use. It's just the same steps. You need to surprise them, you need to immerse them, and you need to tie it together with the story. So that's how I think we can make learning more human, more playful, and a lot harder to forget. And if you try this in your next workshop or your team meeting, I would like you to tag me or DM me because I genuinely love to see what your version looks like. And if it's Legos, extra brownie points for you guys because I love using Legos in my programs. Hence, you can see that my slide has Legos as well. And it was very difficult to come up with one slide and think of how I can make it more meaningful. Thank you so much, everyone, for your time. I hope this was less than 5 minutes because I did this for New York City chapter in person and I exhausted my 5 minutes and I wasn't able to complete it. So I thought I'll just cram it.